Yo, what's up, guys? So let's do some circles today. The section we're doing today is 10.7 and 10.8 circle segments and circle equations. Let's go. So there's the segment of chords theorem that says if two chords intersect in a circle, then the products of their lengths of the chord segments are equal. So AB times BC equals DB times BE. And in this example, when it says to find x, what you want to do is just take these two lengths, 9 times 12, and you set that equal to 8 times x. 9 times 12 is 108, 8x, x equals 13.5, or 27 over 2, whichever floats the boat. But, yes, oh, didn't want to do that. Okay, so the next theorem says that if the two secants intersect the exterior of a circle, then the products of the measure of one external secant segment is equal to the product of the whole secant. So what it's trying to say is that this short length, here, I'll do different color. This short length times this whole thing equals this short thing times the whole thing. And it's kind of weird until I do it. Okay, so this question is one side's 10, one side's 24, and one side's 8, 1 times x. And we try to solve for x. And in this case, you want to set up like this. So 10, right, times 10 plus 24 because it wants the full segment. And let me actually turn back on this, looks pretty bad. Equals 8 times 8 plus x because you want to find the whole length. So 10 times 10 plus 24, which is 10 times 34, 340. And then 8 times 8 plus x, which is, here, I'll do it like this. 340 equals 64 plus 8x. You subtract 64 over, and you get 276, and divide by 8, and you get 34.5, or 69 over 2. What I mean is, like, here, I'll move down. Subtract 64, and you get 276 equals 8x. That's really by equal sign. X equals, then divide by 8 to get your x equals, and I'll write it up here. So 34.5 or 69 over 2. Either one works. And this is the other theorem. If a tangent and a secant intersect in the exterior of a circle, then the square of the measure of the tangent is equal to the product of the measures of the secant and its external secant segment. So again, sounds kind of weird, but that's just saying that this length, when you square, equals this short length times this whole length. So like this. So if LM is tangent to the circle, find x. So that this is the tangent side. So you can do this as 12 squared equals. You can do LK, right? X times x plus 2. Which is kind of weird because you add the two lengths together. So you have 12 squared equals x times 2x plus 2. I think I need more room for this. I'll just erase this. So now you have, I'll simplify the left side, which is 144 equals 2x squared plus 2. Subtract 2 over, right? And you have 142 equals 2x squared. Divide by 2, and you get 71 equals x squared. Take the square root, and x equals the square root of 71. I don't think you can simplify that any further, so that's how you do it. And let's do a couple practice problems from, let's do the sheet. This is technically a partial key, but we will go with it and do a couple questions I already set up right here. So you have this side on number 2, you have the 9 times 9, right? Which is one side, and try to find 6 times x. So that's 81 divided by 6, because when you multiply, here, let me change my color again. When you multiply it out, you get 6x equals 81, and then you divide by 6, so x equals 13.5. And then for the other problem, it's like a secant problem, the two secants. So what you want to do is have, oh, that's not, I'll reset this up. Okay, so you have the 5 times 7 times 5, because it's the short length times the whole length equals x times x plus 4. So 5 times 7 times 5 is 5 times 35 equals x squared plus 4x. And you can do a quadratic, and you get two answers. So x equals 35 to 175, and you subtract it over. Well, technically you can complete the square if you want to, but that's kind of tedious. So let's do it like this. So you have 175 equals, oh my god, oops, I realized I just did it wrong. If you add the two together, you get 12. So 5 times 12 is 60. I'm sorry. So like this, not 30. That 35. That was just me being dumb. But I'm gonna skip over all this. So you have 60 equals x squared plus 4x. Okay, I'll just set it like this so I don't mess up. Okay, and now you just solve the quadratic. What goes into 60 and adds up to 4x? Well, 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20. You can do 5 times 12, 10 times 6. 10 times 6 seems to work if you do x plus 10 and then x minus 6. That work, and you have x equals negative 10 or 6 for that x. Kind of weird, but it works. Let's move on now to 10.8. Let me go to 10.8. Notes over equations of circles. So this is a equation for a circle. It is one of the first conics that you learn. You need to know what conics are yet, but that's just a little thing. So it tells you that the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k are the center. So center equals h comma k, and the radius is r squared, so whatever the square root of this side is will be your r, and you draw your circle like that. And let's actually start by doing example number 1. Write the equation of the circle with the center at 3 comma negative 3 and a radius of 6. And this is your h and this is your k, so you can do x minus 3 squared plus y. Be careful with the minus sign, since this side is a minus 3 and it's like minus 3, and two negatives make a positive, so you actually do plus 3 squared, and radius of 6, you have to square the arc term, so you have 36. Let's do example number 2. Write the equation of the circle graphed below, and you have radius of 2, and the center is 2 units to the left of this point 3 comma 3, so your center is 1 comma 3. And with this information, we can write our equation for the circle. So you have x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, the radius is 2, so you square it, and you have 4. And this one's going to be, that's the repeat. Example number 3 is a little more hairy, and for these questions, I would draw a graph for them. And actually, I'll use this graph up here since it already has perfectly fine graph. So I'll use yellow, and it says the center is at -3, comma 2, -3, -2, so right here, right? And passes through 1, -2. So like that. So it's saying that this length is a radius, and this is a center. And that is enough information to write our equation for the circle. The first thing you want to do is just write the x form and the y. And since it's x minus, it's the point is at -3, you have to add in the equation. You do the opposite, and you do the same thing for the y, but now you do the 2 instead, equals. And let's see how far this point is from this point. These 2 points is what I mean. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 points away. So the radius equals 4, and you square the term, and you have 16. And this is your equation for the circle. Let's do a couple example problems, and we'll wrap up this video. This is again a partial key, so let me see how the teacher did it. This is how you go at it. Let's do number 2. So if it says x squared plus y squared, that means the center is at the origin, since you're not moving any of the points left or right or up and down. So your center is at 0, 0, and the radius is 9. Take the square root of that, so that's 3. And let's do 4. So x plus 3 squared, your center, has to be 3, because since you're subtracting 3, you're actually going 3 to the right, not the left. And then y minus 2, again, you go up instead of down, even though it looks like it. You go 2 up, and you have 16. And to get your radius, you have to take the square root of the number, so you have 4. And let's do some harder ones. Let's do number 12. Okay, so x is at -6, because you're adding 6, so you go left, and then 9 going up, you're going plus 9 on the equation, so you go -9 for your center. And your radius is the square root of 12, which is, you can rationalize it as the root 4 times root 3, which is 2 root 3. So 2 root 3 is your radius. Let's do one of these questions and be done. Actually, we can do this too. Okay, let's do number 16. So if the center is at 7, 1, you know that it has to be x minus 7 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals. Diameter is 24. So your radius is half the diameter. So radius equals 12. And in your equation, you have to square the 12. So you get 144. Let's do one final problem and call it a day. Let's do number 22. So this looks like your center is at -2, -1, as represented by that dot. And your radius seems to be 1, 2, 3 units away from the center. So you can say that your equation is x plus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 9, because you have to square the radius, as always, in your equation. I hope you enjoyed my video over circles, and if you have any questions, leave them down to the comments below, and have a nice day, guys.